crafters. Well, we're going to get on to our next page, and this is going to be hinge number 4, or the back of hinge number 4, and then we're going to try to do 5 and hinge number 5, and then we have one more hinge to do, and that one will be on a separate video. But let's get going on this hinge right now. This is the one where I had talked about I forgot to put the magnets in. Well, guess what? I forgot to do it again. So I'll show you what I got started, and I'll show you what I'm doing to correct what I forgot to do. So first of all, we have the base page. This is the back of what we were working on, and this is the other side. This is ultimately going to go down onto here, but we've got some flaps to put on here first before we put this down. And so one of the things that I did, because I actually started with getting these smaller flaps put together, and I covered them with paper inside, and that's where I realized I forgot to put my mats in again. So what I'm going to do this time, I have made a little bit of a change on this page to see if I could get a different kind of magnet down onto the page. So what I did is I created this flap a little bit bigger, and you can see I have magnets on the back of here, because I'm going to actually take this so that it goes over the top of the other little pockets here, and then I can put magnets on the front of those pockets. So that'll hold that down a little better. So what I ended up doing then too was just changing this pocket out a little bit. I didn't want to have a great big half pocket all by itself. So let's get these flaps down first, and then we can start working on the rest of it. So this is the larger flap over here, and trying to get this down. We're almost done. Or, you know, I said that on the last about the last one, but we actually are. So that the other 2 pages left to do after these 3 will get us pretty close to being done. Sorry if you can hear those kids outside playing and yelling, but I'll tell you, I think it's a really good sound. The neighbors in back of us, the kids yelling because they're playing baseball or playing on the toys outside. I don't know, I think it's kind of a joyful sound. And it's one sound that you always start hearing once summer comes, and to me that's a good sound. They're laughing and the playing and all the fun. I don't get to hear that often enough anymore. I don't have any little ones running around here. So, yeah. My own fault because I pulled that up. So, let me get that down a little better. All right. So we've got that flap on here, and the measurements for that flap is 9 3/8. No, you know what? I think I did this 9 1/2. I apologize. Let me just make sure. Yes, 9 1/2 by 7 it would be 7 1/4 is what the flap ends up being, but it really would be 7 3/4 because you need to have a 1/2 inch for scoring. So that's how large that those are. And then we have these flaps that are going to go onto our page right here, and those were cut at 9 1/4 and then a 1/2 inch scored on one end by 4 5/8 is the width on that, and that's the same width for the other one. And you can make these however you'd like to make them. I mean, I just wanted to make sure I had some extra spots for photos in the album. And so both of these are going to be fit right into here, and then we'll put our main page down. I just want to try to get these as, yeah, I think that'll work. A little bit of a spot apart, but not too far off the edge. Do that. So we're going to miter the corners on those pages. And then use our glue. Ooh. Make sure I have this in the right spot. Make sure those are even. Am I the one who pulls up more things than any other crafter? You know, I thank goodness for Art Glitter Glue letting me be able to do that. At least a little bit. All right. We'll get this one down. And now on the back of these, you know, on the mats that are on here, those actually are the cream cardstock from Country Craft Creations, and I just matted all of these pieces along on the inside. Now, when I did the other one, I did a different corner punch on those. They were a little bit more of a fancier corner punch, and actually I said that it was a We Are Memory Keepers, and I was wrong. I sincerely apologize. It was this one on the Heritage Punch by Fiskars, but for some reason when I started punching some of the paper, it was just going all weird on me. So after ruining a couple insets, I decided I was just going to go with my We Are Memory Keepers punch. So for this one, I went back to the scallop and did that on my, I think it was a scallop anyways. Let me just check that to make sure. Let me grab this scrap. Yeah. Yes, it's called the scallop. That's the one that I used for it. And and again, the only reason why I changed the punch was because of the fact that I kept messing up my mats, and I wasn't going to throw away that much paper. So, and then what we're going to do is this is going to overlap onto here. So what I am going to do before I forget again is I want to take these magnets and take the glue off, or the flap off of them. And I'm going to put them down right away so I don't forget them. And this is changing it just a little bit, but sometimes making adjustments are, you know, is the way to go with something, and then it's not like everything is exactly the same either. So I'm going to put that down and put this down. And we've got our magnets on here, and then this should be covered over by the matting that we're putting down underneath here, by that in the pocket. So we've got plenty of coverage for that. All right, so let's get the paper down here. This was one of the patterns from the pack, and I used vintage photo around the edges on it. And it is 9 3/8 by 9 3/8. I love that plum color. Just want to make sure that that flaps up right. That flaps up right. And we are good to go. Makes me hungry for some wonderful fruit. All right, and then let's go ahead and let's do the pocket on the front of here. So I changed this pocket out to be an angled pocket, and it's actually a full pocket. So this was cut in, so I cut a square, and the square, what did I do with it? I cut it 8 3/8. So then I scored on both sides by 6, and then a 1/2 inch score on that as well. And then I scored those and flapped them in. Then I measured over 2 inches here and 1.5 inch up here, and then did a cut to the line of those. So this is going to be our matting for our pocket, and this actually is going to be the matting for the page, along with, I changed this out just a little bit to give it a little bit of a different color and dimension. So I'm going to put these down first. Did I want that first and then the green, or? Let's see. Wanted to pull in some of that green because of the green on the other pocket. That's the reason for the green and not doing a rust. So I think we will do this one. And I'm gonna put the smaller ones down first because this just needs to go up under the pocket. And I'm going to turn this around. But it will be important to put those pair the right side up, right? So that's just one of the border strips that I cut, the pear border strip. And then I cut, where'd it go? One of the other border strips from the paper, and that's going to go down here, and all of it has been edged with the vintage photo. Yes, and I have the boys again here today, and it seems like whenever I start talking, they think it's their turn to start playing. Otherwise, I tell you, they were laying quietly before. Alrighty, and then let's take this, and we're going to put that down right here. That's great. Actually, I kind of think I like that page better than what I did on the other book, where it was just a smaller flap and it went, the pocket was just a straight pocket. So this, I think, adds a little bit more interest to the book. And I'm going to leave a little bit in between. And I know it doesn't go all the way down, but that's okay because we have a pocket in there. So we should be all good. All right. Ooh. So let's go ahead and let's get our pocket put down in here. And as you can see, it goes down far enough, but doesn't have to go all the way to the bottom of the page. And let's just glue this down. And I mitered the corners or the edges of this pocket as well, on the bottom and on the sides. Okay, boys. Boys. Sorry about that. Do you think they're going to listen? And when I cut this piece, I just matted it or went into the middle of this pocket and then just drew it and then cut it off. And if I needed to cut anything off to make it come back on the edge a little bit, I cut along back here or down here, or even here I might have, but I never cut along this edge. So, well, I've got to take care of the boys. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks. Hi. Okay, I'm back. I had to let the dogs out a little bit and feed them. And we'll see how it goes, how quiet they can be. I was hoping to get this done today, and actually up today on Friday. But we'll see. Maybe at least by Saturday morning it'll be up. I get so jealous of everybody who keeps talking about how they're stuck in the house, but at least they can have time for crafting. I don't get as much time for crafting because I'm working all day, but now they've put us on a furlough day, so actually I am going to have some time to do some crafting, so I'm happy about that. Not happy about not having any money for it, but I am happy about, where were these going to go? Because that doesn't match up with my, did I cut one too long? I may have. Very, very possible. So, I'm going to start off with I'm just looking for my other piece that I had. I thought I had another piece for there. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to do the pockets before I put them down. And these pockets are, they do not have any flap to them. They're just flat because I wanted to keep them so that they were just flat with the flap on here like that. So, and then I used one of my border punches, so you can use any one of your punches that you have. This is the one that I used, and it's by EK Success or EK Tools. I really only use one or two different punches. I like punches, but some of them just get to be too fancy, and I prefer much more of a simpler look. Partly because if it is too much scrolly on it, for me it ends up getting bent and ripped in the book because it gets caught on something on the next page. So we've got that one done. Now let's do this other one. I think I actually did forget to cut that other one. So then I'm going to cut that other one down in a minute. And measurements for this pocket is 4 and, oh, it's just shy of 5/8. And the width, I think they were 2 3/4, and then I punched along here. So this is about a half of an inch, and then whatever I needed to fill in the rest of that. So this is 1.5 inches by just over 4.5. Not quite 4 5/8. And I'm just allowing for a little bit of cardstock to show through between the two papers and then to the top of here. So we've got those two done. And again, I need to measure this. And my pencil. I'm just going to do a pencil cut right now, or a pencil mark, so I know where to cut. It's a little faster than measuring for me. Cut right inside that little mark, and we should be good to go. Now, I'm not sure if you noticed it or not, but one of my papers is actually going one way and one's going kind of the other direction, but I think once it's all on, we're not going to really notice it that much, and if they do, oh well. There's going to be something in the pocket as well as only a small part of that showing. So I just decided that rather than wasting a small piece, you know, something that are some of my leftovers, I would just use it because I didn't think it would be quite that noticeable, especially once there's something in the pocket. And we have our, I'm so happy I have my magnets in here because while I liked the clips I have, I think they're really pretty, but they just aren't as convenient. So, all right, and then we can go ahead and we can put our pockets down on our page, and just right along the edges. Don't want to put too much. pull that up. There we go. Only thing, I got some glue down in here when I moved it, scooted it, and I just want to make sure that I don't get that so it goes over there. There we go. Can't believe that Easter's come and gone. I was just thinking about that today. And that summer is, goodness sakes. And that summer is coming so soon, but we just found out on Friday that so far our stay-at-home in Wisconsin is going to go through May 26th. I know that there could be others that are going to be home longer, but that's our page, and that'll give us a lot of room to put a nice booklet in there. And I need to put paper on the other side of this, so I thought I had cut that already, but obviously I didn't. So I thought, you know why I didn't do that? Is because on this side of the page, what I actually had done is I had done some photo mats with some strips of paper in between the photo mats. So I'm going to leave that, and I will come back to that. But that is those pages complete. And you know, I have to tell you, I really like the way this turned out, much better than the other ones. So I'm glad that that worked out well for that page. And we'll go back through this again, like I said, at the very end when we can look at some of the other additional photo mats and booklets and things like that. So that page is complete. So we're going to move on to our next two pages, which is hinge number 5. And on hinge number 5, oops, I took the wrong one. We've got our page here, and this is the front of the page. I already went ahead and put my ribbon down right away, and I also took, and these are the little doodads I made, and I glued them onto the end of the ribbon on both sides. That way my ribbon wouldn't fray. And I'm putting this right underneath where my paper pockets and everything goes. And basically it's about 18 inches or more. I probably left a little more than I should have on here, but I did tie it up, test it. It's a little bit more. But we're going to go ahead, and this had 2 flaps on it with a pocket underneath and some of the pattern paper down here. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to get our pockets down, or our pockets out, and get going with putting that all together. So paper's everywhere. So we've got pockets and we've got the flaps. So what I want to do is I would like to put the flaps down first, and then I'm going to put the pocket or the paper over those, and then so that we can get our pocket down next. So the flaps for this part of the book is, these are cut at 8 3/4 and scored 1/2 inch, and edges are mitered. Same thing with this one. It is 8 3/4, and the width is 4 5/8 is the width of the flap. So we're going to put these down here, and they are going to meet right in the middle. And I'm going to take a piece of white paper to maybe put that right in here so we can see that a little bit better as we're putting those down. Let's see if I can make sure they match up well. Sometimes that's what happens with the black and navy blue papers, is that it gets to be so dark you can't quite see what we're doing. So I'm going to make that come off the sides just a little bit and meet in the middle. And we'll just make sure these are nice and straight on top. And this is just some light green seam binding that I got. It's the same that Tamara uses in Country Craft Creations, and it is a moss color. That's the color of the green. So I think that you can get this green from there. Looks pretty straight. That looks pretty straight, even though it looks a little funky. It's just off by a minuscule amount. Okay, so we've got these in. And what I want to do is put our paper in, and then once we've got this paper in, we can get our pocket down and covered. I've cut it short enough that it doesn't go too far down in the pocket, but if I can get the paper down before I get the pocket down, that is always, for me, it's best. Because sometimes having to cut it so that it fits inside the pocket normally works, but there are occasions that it doesn't, and when it doesn't, then I feel like I'm off on the edges with the pattern paper. So I put score tape down, and then I just covered it over with more score tape, and then we'll cover that over with our paper, and that will be kept down very well. I love those butterflies. All right, and then we have the pocket for this page. And the pocket is measures. It was just a little bit more than, probably 9 3/8. So it'd be 10 3/8 because we need to add an extra ½ inch onto that. And then this measures with the edging at the top 4 1/4 with scored at ½ inch. And everything that we have, again, is any of the pattern paper is edged with our distress ink. And when I made this, or with the 3/8, I did that so that it would not hang over the edge of our page. I wanted to make sure that we were well within the page of this hinge. And we have this for this pocket. And this is just cut 1/8 of an inch shorter than our pockets. So this is 9 1/8 by 3 and just shy of 3 3 1/4. So, and like I always say, you just have to measure it for yourself and make sure that what you've got makes sense for your matting, because sometimes we can just be that little bit off, especially when your cutter doesn't have any solid line that you're matching up when you're cutting. So if you're just always matching up to a line on your cutter, but it doesn't have a, I guess it's probably a stop to it. If that isn't there, then you can be just minuscule amounts off from those. So on the back side of this, what I ended up doing for these was I just put some mats down here, and I don't have those cut right now, but I'll go back and cut those. So you can either put one full mat, you can put a bigger mat and then some paper here and paper there that from your leftover, so it's just one. And on this side you could do two if you wanted to kind of change it up. What I did on the back of them on the first book is I just took them and did 2 mats on the back in the cream artisan cardstock. And we're going to come to this this paper we're going to put on down here, and this is 4 1/2 by 6 inches. And I specifically made this one 6 inches long because of the fact that I had one strip of paper that was left over that was 12 inches. So I thought, well, let's just go all the way to the 6 inches. And that should work out because both sides would then be the same. That down, and this one will go on to, oh, well, maybe I didn't get 6 inches out of, I thought both were 6 inches. I think we'll still be okay. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. So this one was a little bit shorter, so you can get away with something that's a little bit shorter than the 6 inches. So we've got that, and then we have our pockets, and our pockets on here. I used my other trimmer by EK Tools, or not, yes, punch, not trimmer, but my punch. And the pockets, size-wise, this was 3 3/4, and that includes the punch on there, and then a 1/2 inch score. And the width of this was 5 5/8 with a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here. And then I mitered the edges on this. Boy, that's funny to the eye. It looks like it's so off from each other because of the different lengths. And the same thing on this side, the pocket was the same size. Scored and burnished. And to burnish those edges really well is important because you can get a flatter laying pocket if you do that. That looks better. So then we have our papers here, and what we're going to do is lay this down up here, I think probably like that, just to edge that, give it a little bit more interest. And then this is going to, maybe I should have moved that up a little bit more. I need to cut just a smidge off that. And quite honestly, you don't have to put the additional, the 2 strips. You could have put just this pattern color down, but I think it gives it a little bit of interest when there's a border strip. So that ended up measuring 2 3/4 or 3/8, sorry, 2 3/8 by 4.5. Let me get some of my vintage photo, just where that edge I edged it. Okay. It looks so nice when everything is cut out and you can just put it all down as you're going. But believe me, it took me a good 2 hours, I think, getting everything cut out and formatted and everything before I came on to do these pages. So I know that it looks like doesn't take that long, but to me the cutting of the paper and the cardstock and getting the scoring done and everything, that takes a little bit of time. So don't get upset with yourself if it's taking you that long to get some of that done, because it does. And you put a lot of hard work into your books to make them look beautiful. And these I did not use magnets on because I have the ribbon. That's why I said I didn't want to have ribbon on every page, is I wanted to have them so that they looked a little bit different. In here I also had put some of the graphic 45 tags, and I'm going to use my dies for that because these will fit right into there. To that pocket. The other thing, the last thing that I did do is on the top of here, I did take and put, this is one of the stickers, and I backed it with navy blue cardstock, and I just put glue on the top piece of this so that a photo could be tucked underneath it, and this was just to bring that color up here a little bit. Nothing more than that. So Got a cute little tag up here, and then once this is all in and done, we can tie up our page. And this will be bulkier as we go because of the fact that there'll be pictures put in there. But see, it is a little bit longer and droopier there. But once we get some items in there, it won't be quite that droopy. There we go. So that's that page done. So all of a sudden I gave myself a fright. I thought, oh my God, am I doing this the wrong way? Scared myself. So we're going to do the back of that page next. And this is a pretty, overall, it's a pretty simple page to do. And has a little bit of interest on it, but nothing too dramatic. What we had on here was I actually did a hinge and on this, and then the tags flipped out. So one of the things that I'm thinking of doing this time around was maybe putting a little ribbon tab on here, because it almost looks like it doesn't open. So if for someone else who gets this, I want them to be able to see that it can be pulled out. So I've edged all of this. I'm going to put this down before we put our other piece down. All right. And this piece height-wise was 9 3/8. Nine and 3/8 by 6 3/8. That's how wide that was. And then this is our flap. So I'm going to just miter the edges of that. And we will get that glued down onto here. I want this down before I put my other sheet of green paper out there. And on the back of it, I also forgot to cut that piece, but that's okay. We just need to make sure we remember to put our magnets down. That's also the other thing that's important, but we are good. Now that's down, and we are going to put this down onto here. But first I want to get my magnets out, and I know that I used two little magnets down there rather than just one, because this is so long. I like using the smaller magnets, and two of them, so that because of the length of the piece, it doesn't, sometimes when you put the big magnet right in the middle, it will be fine right there. It makes the page a little bit floppy. So we'll take this, and this is one I don't have to watch too much because they're pretty much both flat matting on the back. So, you know what, that'll work. I think I'll put a ribbon right in the middle there. I think that's what I'll do. I was going to do it in the front, but maybe onto the back is better. Oh, that's unusual. That was a negative magnet. At least that's what the... Well, that's weird. Let's see if this works. That one works. See, I don't know what... I'm not sure why. Oh, here's my magnets that I had on my desk. All right, so I'm going to take these off. I did watch someone else. Do you remember in another one of these I had a very difficult time? My magnets kept coming up with the page. Now I say this and it won't work for me. But she, when I watched them, they kind of moved the page to the side. So, all right, so what we're going to do is to get our green piece down right onto here. That and that's that. Oh, I see. Okay. I almost forgot what I was doing there. So I'll get that down. Want to make sure that that's straight along there. It's the most important spot. We close like that. It's perfect. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a small piece of this moss green, and I'm going to tuck that right on this side, I believe. Okay, so actually that is 9 1/4, so just like 4 1/2, about 4 1/2, 4 3/4. I think that's right about the middle. You think that's the middle? Tell me now, yes or no. Oh, this is what I meant to do. 5 1/4. That's pretty much the middle. We're pretty good there. So let's get our score tape, and I'm going to put a small piece down there. Ribbon, ribbon, where'd you go? There it is. Okay. Just going to use my glue for the other side, and then because I'll put score tape on top. But I think that'll be a... So then when we go, you know that we can pull that up. And I'll use a little bit of a wider piece. So once I mat that back, we'll take that off, and then this should be or fit somewhat in between our middle. I think that works pretty well as a good idea. So one of the other things that I had done was on the inside here, I took and put just one of these small little tags for a tuck spot in there. And I didn't back it with anything. I just, you know, used the glue on 3 sides and put it down on our page just to pull a little bit of interest over to the side. And I was thinking about putting this card in here. We'll see how that works. I'm going to leave that out for right now. But the next thing that we're going to do, I made, where'd they go? Where's my other one go? Oh, I just like that when I've cut something and what was this cut for? Oh, never mind. Okay. So what I did with these is, see, I forget what I'm doing as I'm doing it sometimes. Go along here, and this pocket is 5.5 scored on either side, and 3.5, and then a 1/2 inch score, and the corners mitered. So put the pockets down. You know, actually, as I'm looking at this, I think I forgot to even cut the mats for these pockets before I started recording. That's possible. We know that can happen, but that's okay. We could cut them together. Same thing on this side, and I'm measuring them so that they're going more to the end or edges of this flap, so that I have a break in the middle. And that's what that green piece of paper was for, that I had measured that out so that it would fit in the middle of the 2 pockets. But it almost looks a little wide right now, so. But that looks really good. I think that looks great where that piece of ribbon is. And then what I had in the pockets themselves is I had the tags, and more will fit in there, but that way when we're looking at the page we know that we can flip that open. So this was the piece that I was going to do down the middle. Let me measure that. I think I just left it to measure it out so that I didn't know what it was exactly going to be until I put the pockets in. So it's probably why I did that. All right, come on, little piece. The nice thing about this trimmer is that it really cuts well for those smaller pieces. You have to do a little bit of finagling, but once you get to the finagling, it works pretty good. So let's see, this will fit right in there. And I'm not gonna do those edges because it's going to be somewhat hidden in between the pockets themselves. So that looks to be about 1/4 inch in between the pockets. And then what we have for the pocket is, it looks like the pocket should be 4 3/8 and 2 7/8. 4 3/8 by 2 7/8. Let me find the paper I want. out of our big bin. Remember, you've got to keep remembering those measurements. This is the one that I want, but I thought I had some cut already. Maybe I don't. I thought for sure I had some pieces of that. Let's just take a look real quick because I don't want to cut into a whole brand new piece if I don't have to. This is perfect. I think this will. Well, we can do a little bit of trim on that, and then that piece will work perfectly. So, let's see. Should I do the green trim or should I do a burgundy trim? What color of trim? Should we keep it the same as the green one? I don't know. I was thinking that it would be nice to do it in a different color because I've used that green quite frequently for parts of that trim already. So this is going to fit down onto here, and this is going to fit down onto here. That's perfect because then those actually play across from each other. What do you think we should use? Or it's just such a small little piece that I know that we have something we can use, but I don't. I wonder if there's anything in our stickers that, no, it's not that thin that I can see. I like this paper too. This one is one of my favorites. Okay, they're all my favorites. I know I keep saying that. One's my favorite, the next one's my favorite. Or do we put something that's a little bit more rosy red rather than purple? There's a lot of green on the next page to it. I'm wondering if that would look good to have a little bit here. We have a little bucket of smaller pieces. Wish I had more of this. Something like that would have been a nice little trim piece. Does that fit in there? Well, it would fit in there. Got plenty of purple. See, you can never save too many. That's part of that paper right there. Solid green, nope. Ah, there's my big magnets. I was wondering where they went to. almost of the mind to just do the green again and just make it, because of it being down the middle. Or do you like that better? Oh, what about that? I have another piece of that. Apples. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. I might do this one just to get a little bit more of that tomato coloring in there, and that might be what we need. Where'd that little piece go? All right, let's try that out and see if we can get just 1/8 of an inch. Very, very small. Yep. I think it might be even better with this one to make it small in the fact that it shows a little bit more of the navy. I'll move all that in a minute. So we would put that, ooh, that's pretty uneven. I thought that was even. Have navy blue on both sides. That other one was a bit uneven. Let's see if we can make this one any better. I know this is so exciting, isn't it? All right, if this one doesn't work, then I'm just going to do the rest of it off screen. I think this works just fine. They're not going to be exact because they're too teeny to match up, but they will work. And will give us a little bit more color in between the pocket and the tag. And I'm not edging this either because it's just so little with my Distress ink. Alrighty. All my little pieces. Goodness gracious. But you can see where they can, you know, those little schnibbly bits can come in handy, because now there's tags that need to be made at the end, and you might not have a big enough piece to go through it all. You know, sometimes I've even seen people that want to use the Graphic 45 die cuts to put the leftover, oh, that looks nice. Don't you think that looks good? I think it looks good. To put those leftover pieces onto a piece of paper, and when they put it onto a piece of the paper, they then cut it out because it's all put together and it looks like it's completely one piece. So that's always really nice to do. The last thing that we're going to do is I need to cover the back of that piece, and I think I used this on the back of there. I did. So let's use that. Sorry if I banged the camera. All right, so what we've got here, now you can see my pencil marking off again. This is the way I like to measure the best. And then I'm going to bring that down to here. We are going to cut right in there. Okay, no, I can't. Sorry, I gotta get the big guns out here. And then let's just make sure we're straight on here. Alrighty. Let's dry fit that to make sure we have the right measurements on that. And I think I'm going to go a little closer to the edge because it looks like I got that score tape pretty close to the edge. So I want to, I'm going to make that go a little bit closer just because I want to cover over some of that score tape. Alrighty. And we're almost done for this video, because once we get this on, then I just have to go back and mat the back of, I think, one of those pages. And we will then move on to our last 2 pages of the album. And we will be done, other than doing some of the photo mats and the sort. So we've got that, and let me just take one of those tags from there and I'll put that in here. Yep. So we've got that page done then, and we can see to lift that off. Now, I was going to put this in here, which that gives it a little bit more depth and dimension. So that is that hinge complete, hinge 5. So the next thing that we're going to be doing is hinge 6, and then we will be, once we're done with that, we will get the pages into the book and finalize any of our photo mats and any other types of embellishments you'd like to add into the book. We can go through that and do that. If you really want me to go through and do a video on the final like photo mats and embellishments and things like that, I can do it. Otherwise, I'll leave that up to you to make that choice. So thank you so much for joining me. Please like and subscribe if you would like to. Otherwise, I just thank you so much for joining me. It's just such a pleasure to get the wonderful comments and feedback from you. Have an awesome night. Thanks. Bye.